Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being here and attending our webinars. I'm Maria Trinetescu from SEOmonitor. And I would like to also welcome Alec Bertram from Allotment Digital. Thank you, Alec, for being here with us. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you find yourself in. Hope you guys are going to enjoy his insights. And remember the questions, try to keep them for the end of the presentation. You have a small box on your right, probably, on your right or on your left, depending which one you prefer, where you can ask the questions. In case you do think of something else afterwards and the webinar is over, you can always tweet Alex or tweet SEOmonitor, and we'll be happy to help you. And don't forget to enjoy this. Thank you very much.
Great. Okay, so I am Alec. I run Allotment Digital. So we are a SEO agency based in London, and we mainly specialize in e-commerce. So the issues that I'll be talking about today are fairly common across e-commerce websites, and yeah, so essentially what I'll be talking about is how to maximize your SEO visibility even when it's not normally sort of feasible to optimize for some long tail terms. So we did some research, it was about a year ago now, and it found that about 70% of e-commerce businesses in the UK weren't able to rank as well as they could have because they didn't have a properly optimized Faceted navigation. And I'll take you through a quick example of what I'm talking about. Maybe your website has this, maybe you don't. And then I'll explain some of the technical things behind it, how you might be able to fix it. And I've got a brand new example just to show you as well. One of my clients went live with this just yesterday, so it's very exciting. So they sell motorcycle gear, so things like helmets, they sell motorcycle jackets, gloves, all sorts of stuff, and their entire customer base buy from them because they sell cool motorcycle gear. So they don't sell just racing stuff, they sell things that are classic, they sell very high-end items, and whether their customers like to admit it or not, a lot of them want to be this guy. So this is Steve McQueen. He is well, he was a movie star back in the 50s, 60s. He rode a lot of motorcycles, and he was known as the King of Cool. So my client is catering for people who idolize Steve McQueen. So Steve had a very specific style. He wore Belstaff Jackets. This is the Belstaff Trailmaster jacket, and he rode a Triumph motorcycle. And his kind of style was so influential that it's still very popular today, and is actually still the one of the main marketing messages from Belstaff, who make this gear. So if we look at a basic kind of purchase decision cycle, there's obviously more complex and different models, but this is it at its base. My client has, So at the top of the decision cycle, you've got awareness keywords. So this is when a customer will be looking at just things like motorcycle clothing, and head terms obviously have very high search volume. A lot of people search for it, but they're not very specific. As we move down through the purchase cycle, we get to the interest stage. So this is when a customer, they're looking for more specific things, maybe a head term as a modifier, such as a brand or a color or a material. So this is our sort of ideal customer, knows that Steve McQueen wears a Belstaff jacket, and they're looking for different Belstaff jackets. When we get to the consideration phase of the decision cycle, Here we're talking about really long tail keywords, so very specific terms that don't have very much volume, but because they're so specific, anyone searching for product names such as a Belstaff Trialmaster jacket is probably pretty close to buying. So it's quite important, even though these terms are very long tail, they have not a lot of search volume, they have a high sort of intent. So what was my client essentially ranked mostly page 1 for the head terms, which is great. This is where they got a lot of traffic from. They also ranked really well for a lot of the product names. So anyone that was kind of at the very end of their decision cycle and still looking at retailers would find my client. The main problem then was that they didn't rank very well for those mid-tail terms. They were absolutely nowhere if you searched Belstaff Jackets, if you searched leather motorcycle jackets, they wouldn't search anywhere, they wouldn't appear anywhere, but they would if you searched just kind of motorcycle clothing or for specific product names. Which, that's a problem, because if you are my client's ideal customer, you probably know that Steve McQueen wore a Belstaff jacket. Maybe you know it's a Belstaff Trialmaster jacket, but you might not know the specifics. So you might miss my client completely, which is a disaster. So why is this? We took a closer look at why my client wasn't ranking, and we found that the site structure basically looked like this. So they had a jackets page, they had a page for their helmets, they had a page for their boots, and a few other product categories. So they had a page for all the Belstaff clothing, they had a page for all the motorcycle jackets, but they had no Belstaff Jackets page. We took a bit of a closer look at who was ranking for the term Belstaff Jackets, and we found that without fail, every single retailer who was ranking for Belstaff Jackets was doing so with a specific category page about Belstaff Jackets, or in this case, Belstaff leather jackets. So anyway, here, relevancy outranks authority. So even though my client had more links in a much more authoritative domain than a lot of the people who were ranking, those other people had more relevant pages for the search query, which was Belstaff Jackets, so they were able to rank. And this is the case whenever we look at longer tail terms. Basically the reason is that because everyone's targeting the head terms, they're obviously most competitive. A lot of people ignore these longer tail terms and optimize for them well, and so it's a lot easier to rank when you have a well optimized relevant page. So how can we fix this? Well, there's two main ways we can kind of fix this and start to rank for these longer tail terms. The first one is we could implement some sort of blogging strategy where every week we would write about a different product model or a different sort of material of our products, and then after a while we'd have a lot of blog articles that would be about these products, and you know, they might rank, but if you think about it from a customer's point of view, if you have come to an e-commerce site, you're looking to buy a product, landing on a blog page is not a very good experience, because you're basically looking for product options, and that's not what you've been given. So you got to bounce back to the SERP, and probably eventually the website will lose its rankings because it's not providing value to customers, or what customers are looking for anyway. So the other option is to just have better category pages. So category pages that can rank for these terms like Belstaff Jackets, Belstaff Trialmaster jackets, leather jackets, things like that. So effectively moving from, for my clients, moving from site's architecture, which is very, very flat. Obviously under here we've got sort of thousands and thousands of product pages, but moving from here to improving the category system to rank better for these longer tail terms. So when a customer comes on the site, they'll click through the jackets category page, and then they'll use the filters on the right to select, maybe they'll select a brand, so they'll select Belstaff, and that would create an indexable page about Belstaff Jackets. From the Belstaff Jackets page, they could, they could click either maybe a material, so they'll get to a leather Belstaff Jackets page, or they could click a gender, so men's Belstaff Jackets page. And from each of those pages, you could click down another level to the missing attribute here and create an indexable men's leather Belstaff Jackets page. So this is quite an optimal system, but what we're effectively talking about here is redeveloping the category system of an e-commerce site to create these kind of indexable and crawlable faceted pages. You're going to need to do a business case. Whether you are an agency SEO and you're trying to get your client to implement this, or whether you're an in-house SEO and you need to sell this idea to your boss, it's going to take a lot of time for building and testing it, and it's going to cost probably a significant amount of money if you use an external development agency. So what we need to do is put together a business case to first decide whether it's going to be worth it, and what kind of money or traffic you can make from implementing this and being able to rank for a wider range of terms. And SEOmonitor actually helps with this, but I'll show you the kind of the maths behind it to begin with. So first you need to start with all possible keywords. So you need to create a list of every possible keyword that your faceted category system might be able to make. So you want to gather all of the product attributes for every product you have. So you'll be sort of making a list of keywords like leather jackets, men's leather jackets, brown men's leather jackets, brown leather jackets, every possible keyword. Find the search volume of those keywords, multiply that by where you rank at the moment, and use a CTR curve to kind of estimate, okay, if we ranked higher for these terms, what sort of traffic could we get? So then you'll end up with kind of how much traffic you could get if you ranked well for all of these terms. And then obviously add in your sales data, so add your conversion rates, add your average order value, and you'll end up with something that looks a little bit lost. So this is the business case for a single category of my client's website. It's the helmets category, and all we've done here is we've taken every brand of helmets they have and every model of helmets that they have, and just put those together and found that if my client could rank in the top sort of 5 positions for all of these helmet model, sort of brand model helmet terms, every year they'd make an additional £88,000 of incremental revenue. So instantly there we can see that yes, it's worth it because this is just 2 product attributes from one category. If we roll this out across all categories and all product attributes, we're likely to make more money than that £88,000. Now, when I did this calculation, SEOmonitor didn't have their business case builder, but if they did, I would have used this instead. So the business case builder will effectively do exactly what I've done here. It will pull together the search volume, your current rankings, your sales data, and estimate how much money you could make from being able to rank for sort of a wide variety of keywords, and you can obviously specify which keywords you want. So where are we? We have identified that there's an issue, we've kind of outlined a fix, and because of our amazing forecasting skills or our using SEOmonitor skills, we have sort of won over the client or won over our boss, and they're behind us to create this faceted navigation system. There are some problems, and one of the main reasons why this kind of system isn't implemented on a lot of websites is because of the indexation and the crawling risks associated with it. And this is the reason why a lot of SEOs will recommend that you just completely no index and disallow any of your facets from being crawled. So there's obviously page rank dilution. If you move from a site with, say, 24 category pages to a site with maybe 100,000 filtered category pages, instantly you've got page rank dilution. Your page rank and your authority is going to be spread out across many more pages than it was before. You've got the potential for content duplication. So if you're not changing the content on the page every time it gets filtered, your pages are effectively going to be competing against each other, and you have a lot of duplication. There's potential for either a panda issue or just for your page to be put into the supplemental index. And obviously, as I just covered, there's the risk of cruel wastage and index bloating. So really, the main goals of this project are increasing the number of useful pages which get indexed while minimizing the number of useless pages. And I define useful and useless as, is there a user intent? If a user is looking for a leather Belstaff jacket, then you should have a page for that. But if a user isn't looking for, say, something that's very specific, so waterproof leather Belstaff brown jackets with matching trousers, that's not a page you should create because a user isn't looking for that, and we know that because of search volume. So to kind of give you an example of how we would tackle the content issue, we need to make sure that there's unique content on every page and that your pages are properly targeting the terms that you want them to target. So we'll start off with the motorcycle jackets page, and then when a user clicks the Belstaff brand filter, we need to change the content on that page. Belstaff jackets. Very simple. So we want to do this for the heading, the page title, and the meta description at the very least. Obviously, the URL that this Belstaff Jackets page is on needs to be canonical, so you can't canonicalize it somewhere else. You can't no-index this page. But that's how you kind of tackle the unique content. You might want to add a description snippet, especially for very competitive terms where all of your competitors have good pages. You need to properly compete, but once you get to the longer tail, I mean, it's rare for competitors to optimize for sort of a wide variety of longer tail terms. So things like women's Belstaff jackets, for instance, doesn't have a lot of competition, and you can rank for it with just a heading and a title. You need to limit the crawling and indexing of pages. So a search engine bot isn't going to crawl your website forever. It's going to give up after a while, and you don't want to have it's crawling and indexing a lot of pages that a user would never search for. So here we have rules in place where if a page has more than one value from an attribute selected, it'll become no follow and no index. So what I mean is if a page is about 2 brands of jackets, so Aero and Belstaff jackets, we don't want a search engine to crawl or index that page. It's because a user would never search Google for Aero or Belstaff jackets. They just don't. If they care about that, they'll do it on the site. However, if a user selects a material and a brand, that's quite a useful page. We know that users do search leather Belstaff jackets. There's search volume for that. But users never search for two materials and a brand, so they never search textile or leather Belstaff jackets. So we need to implement crawling and indexing rules for that. I'll show you a few options of doing that later, but this is one of the most critical parts because if you let search engines just crawl and index whatever they want, you're going to have a lot more useless pages being indexed than you will useful, and your most important pages won't be crawled so often, they won't be indexed so often. So how do we do this? Well, back to the page we were on before. The user comes to the motorcycle jackets page, they select Belstaff, we change the content as I showed you before, and then we put a nofollow tag on all the rest of the all the other brands from a page where a brand is already selected. So a search engine won't be able to click the link to get to the Belstaff and Aero jackets page because that's nofollowed. And likewise, if a user or a search engine then chooses a gender, so men's, we change the content, but we also nofollow the rest of the genders. So we nofollow women's, so that a search engine can't get to men's and women's Belstaff jackets because no user would ever search that. And the final rule that we need to put in is that after you've selected sort of more than 3 or 4 groups, we need to nofollow everything else, all the other links on the page, all the other facet or filtering links. This is because users will only ever search for the 3, maybe the 4 important attributes that they care about in that product. So they'll search for men's leather Belstaff jackets, but they're probably not going to search for something so specific like brown men's leather Belstaff jackets. And we can find out that by just doing some keyword research, working out, okay, in my industry, how many product attributes do people care about when they're looking at this product category? But that's really important again because we don't want to have useless pages being indexed. Okay, so to kind of summarize these 2 core, really critical functional specifications before I get on to showing you some live examples. Just to repeat, there needs to be unique content on every filtered page. That's critical. If you don't do that, you're just going to end up with massive duplication across your category system, and you might as well have not started to begin with. And you need to really closely limit crawling and indexing. So only 1 value per attribute group should be indexed, and you should have a maximum number of selected groups. So that can be anywhere from sort of maybe 2 attribute groups being selected if there's not a lot of volume in the industry, or I've seen in fashion 4 and sometimes even 5 groups being selected before it gets sort of closed down. So to kind of summarize that, the whole purpose of this webinar and this talk, I guess, is to find the problems that your customers are trying to solve. So find the product categories and the attributes they care about in those product categories. Make sure you have multiple pages to solve those problems. And don't try to solve problems which don't exist. So don't make pages which are too specific. It's going to be pointless, and you're going to cause yourselves problems on search engines. So I mentioned a little bit earlier that one of my clients managed to roll this out yesterday. So this is the company that I was talking about just now in the presentation. So Motor Legends is the motorcycle client that I've been talking about, and we've been working on this faceted navigation system for quite a while. And we just managed to put it live yesterday, so it's a bit too early to talk about results. The things like getting indexed and ranking. But I just want to show you this as a good example of a system that's been really well thought out and researched, so that you can maybe use it when you're looking at how to implement this faceted navigation system. So here we are back at the Motorcycle Jackets page of the live website, and just if you're going to look at this website, just note that I've got JavaScript turned off because they've got a kind of an AJAX system that we don't want crawled anyway. But so user or search engines come to the site and then maybe they select a brand, so say Belstaff, like we were talking about before. The first thing that changes, or that you'll notice, is the URL. So it's gone from just /jackets to jackets brand equals Belstaff. This interaction equals 1 is that's a platform variable. We have to have it there. And you'll see the canonical tag is jackets brand equals Belstaff. So search engines can absolutely index this page. The H1 changes to Belstaff Jackets, and as you might expect, all of the jackets displayed here are Belstaff Jackets. If you select something like model, say the Belstaff Magello, again, the URL will change to include that, so this becomes an indexable page, and the H1 changes, as does the title and description. And we can actually go a little bit further, so to 3 levels. Okay, in this case, maybe not such a good example because it's the same content, but we now have men's Belstaff Magello jackets. But after this, we stop search engines from crawling any deeper. So if you look at, let's copy a URL. If you look at the URL for anything deeper than 3, you'll see it has this do not index variable. No, do not index is the wrong terminology. It should be do not crawl or something like that. But this variable is in the robots.txt as disallow, so search engines won't crawl anything here. So it's a really good example. And as I said before, maybe for a very competitive term, you want to have a bit more content there, give a bit more relevancy to the page, a bit of uniqueness to it. So that's what we've done. We've got this is the helmets brand equals HEV page, and this is a very competitive term. So we've included a bit of content here, and we're working on more another system to add a bit more relevancy, maybe buying guide or explaining a bit more about these helmets. And the other thing that, okay, I'll give you one more example of a good website that does this. I mean, no one, unless you're really into motorcycling, you wouldn't have heard of Motor Legends. So if you're trying to justify this to your boss, maybe Motor Legends isn't a good example to show them. A great website to look at and to use as an example is House of Fraser. So this is one of the biggest department stores in the UK or Europe even maybe. So House of Fraser do this well. At the moment we're on the women's dresses page. Once you select a product type, so sort of maxi dresses, again the heading and the title changes to reflect that. If we select a brand, so it's got Phase 8 maxi dresses, as you might expect, Phase 8 maxi dresses is displayed. It looks like they've got a bit of a problem here with old content, but you know, at least they're trying and they're doing quite a good job of this. The other thing that I wanted to mention, which I haven't covered during the presentation, is the product attribute. So obviously the pages that your system will be able to create rely on the attributes that you have. So I'm talking about if you have a attribute for color, you'll be able to show, for instance, black AVG helmets. If you have an attribute for the model name, you'll be able to have all of the model names, so AGV K3 helmets. Gender, so ladies or men's. But a lot of websites won't have these attributes already in the system. So just because your e-commerce platform doesn't have certain attributes, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't put them in. So I've got a good example of this. I think this might have changed now, but This is from a few years ago. So we've got Maplin, who are an electronics retailer here in the UK. And a few years ago, you go to the graphics cards page, and the only filters that you could see were price, the product rating, and the brand of the graphics cards. Now, this potentially isn't the most useful product filters, because, you know, graphics cards, just looking at these product titles here, I can see that people are talking about the brand of the graphics cards, but also the chipset make. This 2GB D5 is the type of RAM and the capacity of the RAM and the speed. We've got the connector for a computer. You've got inputs, outputs. There's a lot of product attributes there that this website doesn't have. So even if they were going to open up their faceted navigation to indexing, like I've just been through, it would be pointless, because no one's really looking for graphics cards between £10 and £20. People are looking for graphics cards, AMD Radeon graphics cards, for instance. So how can we do this? Well, you basically need to look at every single product attribute that your products might have. So here I've outlined 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different product attributes of graphics cards, and put a few values next to them. So you could have a Radeon graphics card, a GeForce graphics card, you could have a 1 or 2 gig graphics card, and then I basically just merge them all together. So you end up with quite detailed potential keywords. So we start off with Radeon graphics card. By the time we get down here, we've got 2 gigabyte GeForce. By the time we get down another level, we've got GDDR5 PCI Express GeForce graphics cards. And then obviously you can check the search volume of those. So we can see that, Maplin should also have all of these other product attributes, and these should be indexable product attributes, because at the moment they're missing out on a lot of traffic, really, because people are searching for HDMI or PCI Express graphics cards. So it's really important when you are researching for this type of project that you really think about what those problems that your customers are trying to solve, and pushing your clients or your business to have good pages for those problems, if they don't already. So let me know if you've got any questions, and we'll answer them now. Cool. How was that, Maria?
Hi. Yes. Apparently, people are a bit shy. I don't see any questions. They should be on the right side on the attendees list. But
yeah.
Yeah. Do you see any? No.
No questions. Okay.
Apparently, either things were very clear or people are a bit shy right now. But no worries. They can, as I said before, they can either tweet you or let us know, and we'll contact you to find out the answers. And they might find helpful. There will be a blog post about it, including the video, the slides, and a summary of your presentation. So that may clear any questions that they might have. Okay. just to be sure. Yeah. Perfect. In the end, can we see you a bit just to say goodbye?
Yeah. Go on then.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much again for taking the time to share your insights with us. As I said before, it's always nice to work with you, and we're gonna definitely see each other at our other events and webinars we have planned.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, perfect then. So, guys, thank everyone for attending and taking their time to learn a bit more. Any questions you might have, remember, we're always happy to help. and wish everyone a great night. Thanks, Alec, again. Bye.
See ya.